What's up, Ride Warriors, and welcome to another episode of Ride Warrior Wrestling. I'm, of course, the face that runs the place, the hot and sexy Buff Rock, Mr. COASTER-net himself. I'm here tonight with my good friend, the Maverick. What's up, Maverick? How is it going this evening?
It's going just okay. How you doing?
Just okay. It's not.
Just okay.
It's not too sweet tonight. No. Not yet. No. It's too early in the show for all that nonsense. So tonight, as you may have deduced from the title, we're going to be talking a little Wrestlemania. That, you know, the greatest show of the year, the granddaddy of them all, happened to be this past weekend. You may have watched our most anticipated matches of WrestleMania. But tonight, I think we're not going to do a full review. We're just going to run down some of the things we liked, some of the things we didn't like, and talk a little bit about the show itself. Now, Rob, let me first say that I think the WWE needs to do something here. I think it is way too long. That this program, the 7 hours of pre-show and event, is way too long to sit through. I felt bad for those people by the end of the night having to sit there for that long.
Oh, it was exhausting. I mean, you had the 2 hours of pre-show?
2 hours of pre-show. The show itself started at what? At 6 o'clock, ran all the way to 11 o'clock. This is Central Time, of course. Just way too long of a show. You know, there's been some ideas floated around that maybe you do a 2 days of WrestleMania and you do the Raw brand on one night, the SmackDown brand on the other night. I don't know if I like that idea. No, I think the simple answer is cutting all those damn video packages that our good friend Brian Bass, started the show a full hour after the live show started, and he fast-forwarded through all those video packages, and by the end of the night, he was caught up with us. There was an hour of video packages that you could just cut. Watch the program. If you're not watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and they're trying to catch you up on this show, there's something wrong. Like, we saw all the video packages on the pre-show. Why do we have to watch them again on the show itself? Get rid of them.
Right, exactly. Well, back in the day, didn't they do them at the beginning of the pay-per-view? Like the big package at the beginning of pay-per-view was fine.
Was enough. It caught you up. Now every single match has, an entire video package associated with it. And that's great, I guess, if you're not watching the product, but for the people watching the product, I've seen those video packages. I've seen it happen live. I've seen it on the pre-show. I've seen it everywhere. I don't need to watch it again before the match. And it's just drawing out this event. And you see what happens at the end of the event. People start sitting on their hands. People start getting antsy. People start getting bored. Maybe it's Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
That's what I say. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns kind of quiet everybody down.
But I'll tell you what, every year it's been like this since they've been doing these extended shows. Every year it seems like people are getting antsy at the end and they don't want to be there anymore. It's because it's too long of a night. It's like, get rid of some of this.
I didn't want to watch it at the end. I wanted to stop after the what I thought my main event was. I wanted to stop after the Raw Tag Team title and not watch the main event.
Well, let's start there, I guess, and let's do with some of the bright spots of this show. People have been ripping the WWE for the Braun Strowman selecting a 10-year-old kid out of the crowd. But Maverick, when I say this, I thought that was the most hysterical thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was classic.
Pure genius. Are you kidding? I mean, nobody knew what was happening. The whole it's great. Like he's like, I'm gonna pick one of you. And at first I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick anybody out in the crowd. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. So I'm like, what's gonna happen? And then all of a sudden he's like walking around the crowd. He's just like, where is this guy going? Obviously, this is staged. It's WWE. Yeah. We're not stupid. We know that everything is staged and planned out beforehand. But he finds this kid, this 10-year-old kid. And once I see what was going on, I just sat there and I go, what is he doing? What is this? And it was the funniest thing in and the kid stands up on the ring right there, and you're like, is he gonna tag this kid in?
Yeah.
The whole time you're like he's just gonna take care of these people, and then all of a sudden tags the kid in.
The hot tag.
No!
The hot tag. And then the next night on Raw, when he goes to Kurt Angle and is like, you know what? I found out that we're going to have to relinquish the belts because my tag team partner has other commitments. 4th grade. I just lost it. I lost it. I'm like, people are ripping this to shreds, and I'm like, this is what's fun. You could have put any jobber up there. You could have brought out Kurt Hawkins.
You could have brought any celebrity. You could brought out celebrities who care, who don't,
and nobody would have cared. And the show is Braun Strowman. The whole idea was that Braun Strowman could win this match by himself without the help of another, and he did, and he got stronger for it. He gave up the tag team titles the night after. Now we got a wonderful tag team tournament going on where we're going to see some other tag teams maybe get a shot at this. I thought it was brilliant.
It's going to be Woken Matt Hardy.
I hope so. I hope so. That was also one of the highlights of Raw when Bray and Hardy walk by Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy starts talking to him.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh, my God.
All the good stuff happened on Raw.
Well, I was kind of maybe Raw versus SmackDown. I was kind of disappointed for the Monday after WrestleMania Raw.
Oh yeah, but it
felt real underwhelming to me with what they
did.
Worse. Yeah,
was worse.
So let's get back to the show. I think the next bright spot on this card, comedy wise, was the entire John Cena story. John Cena in the crowd was absolutely hysterical. When you've watched, I know the wrestling purists are watching the show and they're throwing crap at their screens right now because they're like, oh, this was awful. Oh, another awful part. We've said the 2 most awful things to them. But it's entertainment to me. I've seen so much wrestling in my life. I've been watching since 1992. I've seen matches. I've seen matches from all around the world. There's not much you can do in the ring that surprises me anymore. But it's this kind of stuff that I thought was hysterical. And the match with John Cena and Undertaker was basically a squash match, but it should have been, in theory, when you think about it, that John Cena was calling out the Undertaker, got his ass handed to him, and the Undertaker reestablished himself. I thought it was hysterical.
Absolutely. And we talked about John Cena calling out the Undertaker in our pre-WrestleMania show, and how brilliant it's been so far with this whole John Cena's trying to find his WrestleMania moment. And he said, I'm just gonna go I'm gonna go as a fan. I'm gonna sit there and watch it. And the whole time you see fans taking pictures, see them all like saying, "Oh, it's John Cena," and then the referee comes out and tells John Cena, "Hey, I think I saw Undertaker backstage." John Cena runs back, and after, what was it? What match was it? Was it the women's SmackDown match?
Yeah.
After that, he came out,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just standing there, and then the referee comes back out. It's like, sorry, I must have thought I saw the Undertaker, and then the lights go out. How perfect is the story? The lights go out. All right, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, here's the Undertaker!" And all of a sudden, you hear that strumming of the guitar.
Yes, Elias.
That's so gold. Like, Elias comes out and he panders, and he's like, "Oh, what, you were expecting someone else?"
Elias coming out at that moment was one of the best moments of WrestleMania, and that's what this show is all about. It's having those big moments, having fun, and then that match. I don't know if you've seen the meme yet, and I'll throw the meme up here.
Well, let's not even talk about the match real quick. Let's talk about what happened with Elias.
Oh.
Elias got destroyed.
Right? He did.
Got destroyed. And then John Cena goes, "Is that it? Is that my WrestleMania moment?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?" And then that's when the lights went down, and then everybody started freaking out, and you hear the gong. and go ahead with the match.
And I don't know if you saw the meme, but there's an awesome meme going around right now of Undertaker staring at John Cena, and John Cena's like in the air, and it says, I'll throw it up here. It says, Undertaker's supernatural powers include the ability to see John Cena. And I'm just like, that's amazing. To me, I thought it was hysterical the way that John Cena's like flying through the air and Undertaker's looking at him. But the match was well done. Like
that bit was good.
Yeah.
Like, John Cena's about to do his "You Can't See Me." John Cena's like, "Oh, I got this in the bag." All of a sudden, Undertaker pops up, and the way John Cena sells that was tremendous. I mean, how do you not like that? As a wrestling fan, how can you not enjoy that fresh, storyline that's being thrown at you? I mean, I've been complaining so much about, WWE not giving us fresh stuff. That was, I mean, how many times have you seen that storyline?
Yeah.
There's not, I mean,
none.
You don't,
None.
you haven't seen that storyline. So that's fresh right there. And it was great. I mean, unfortunately we didn't get anything after WrestleMania. We didn't get any Raw where we just got John Cena playing the piano, whatever that means. Cause he did
I didn't understand it. I'm thinking that maybe this leads to a rematch next year where there's something a little bit more on the line where because like I said before on when we did the anticipation show, I thought they might go the career versus career route. And I feel like a proper Cena Undertaker match might still be in the works. I don't know.
And Taker gets to take part in Rusev Day for the greatest Rumble ever.
I know. We're going to see Taker wrestle twice this year. Although we always hear that Undertaker's going to wrestle a second time during the year, but it always falls apart. So it's real close here, but I'll believe it when I see it happen, So let's move on to another match that was we both really anticipated this one, and this is the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match. And I don't know if what they gave us out there for WrestleMania was what I wanted. I felt that it was too slow paced of a match. I felt that it didn't do much. It didn't hold my interest. And this might be the perfect example of this event going too long. And by that point in the night, that I'm already a little bit worn down. You're towards the back half of the card now. And I just felt like it did not deliver. I liked the ending. I liked Shinsuke turning on AJ, but even that was super drawn out and almost telegraphed. And I don't know, something just didn't sit well with me with that match. And maybe it was the expectation that everyone thought this was a guaranteed 5-star match, and it just didn't happen for me.
No, I mean, if you go back to, I know how you like me dropping the New Japan Wrestling stuff, but when you go back to their match against New Japan Wrestling, it started out with the charisma of Shinsuke Nakamura. You really don't see much of that. You see him do his little head thing where he puts his head on their stomach and he does this little, his relaxed arm thing. But other than that, you don't see, there was no charisma in that. It was just boring and drawn out. There was nothing in that match that kept us invested in it the whole time. We knew that this was a championship match. Obviously Shinsuke lost. I mean, that was surprising because, I mean, you think Royal Rumble.
It was that the Rumble winner lost. It was that both Rumble winners lost. Yeah. That was interesting to me.
Vince hates Japanese stars.
well, for me, I thought that at first. I said, well, Vince doesn't traditionally push Japanese stars. It just hasn't ever happened before.
But with the heel turn. But the
heel turn, I feel like that loss doesn't derail Shinsuke in the future. I feel that he's still going to be part of this, that he's still going to get some really good matches, and I think he will get the title eventually. Flip side, though, Asuka, I don't know about her. I think it does derail her push a little bit, and I think she will get the belt eventually, but I'm not so confident that it's within the short term. I think Shinsuke will get the belt in the short term.
Well, if we're looking at storyline wise, Shinsuke is going to be a tremendous heel. I mean, if you see on
Yeah.
SmackDown, he's going to be great. He's going to hit that. I mean, the way he had an interview, stating that he was sorry, and then who was it that was who was giving the interview? It was
Charlie Caruso or
no, I don't think it was
Renee.
Renee. It was Renee. Renee. So when Renee was like that, why are you like that? That's really inconsiderate of you. She's like, so why would you do it? And he's like, sorry, no speak English.
And Shinsuke, and I'll also say this, I felt that Shinsuke's run on the main roster has been pretty unimpressive up to this point.
I agree.
His entrance is amazing, but he's been living off his entrance for the last year. And that's not enough. Like, that's not enough. Like, you need a little bit more to your character. And I feel that now as a heel, he's going to finally be able to start developing his character a little bit more. And people are going to start responding to that.
With Asuka, I think the storyline is going to be with her, because if you see how she reacts, she thinks she's the Empress, that she is untouchable. She comes to the ring with a certain swagger. And I think that they're going to try to knock her down and say that, look, you're not untouchable. So now you have to climb the ladder to get back up to that spot of being a champion.
Yeah.
So you're going to have that storyline of somebody who was undefeated now have to climb back up into being a champion. So
which is fine.
I think they're going to use that storyline with her.
And the thing about it is it sounds like Asuka's going to stay on Raw. Which is an interesting move. So I guess let's get to that match, because I thought that was one of the bright spots. Mm-hmm. That was one of the most shocking moments, I think, of the entire card, is when Charlotte beat Asuka. And I love the move. I know a lot of people out there hated this move. I was on Twitter and people were canceling their WWE Network subscriptions because they said that this ruined the entire, federation. And I'm just sitting there like, what are you smoking? That Asuka, I'll be honest. Like I said before, I've yet to see Asuka put on an entertaining match. I don't understand this Asuka revolution going on. And when faced with Charlotte, I thought Charlotte finally put on a pretty decent match. I thought the two of them had a pretty decent match together.
It was a good match.
It was a good match, right? So Asuka finally put on a good match, I thought, because she was evenly matched with somebody. I personally thought the streak should have ended last year with Ember Moon, but that did not happen. So I think with Charlotte, I think it makes perfect sense that Charlotte gets this big rub here and gets the win, because it sounds like Charlotte's going to be the woman moving forward here. That should be no shock to anybody. And I've heard already slated for next year's WrestleMania is a Charlotte Ronda Rousey match for the title. That could be one of the main events, if not the main event, that I think they're going to start. I personally don't think that's the right move of having that match go on last, but we haven't seen a whole lot of Ronda Rousey yet. We saw this match that we're going to talk about here in a second. But I'd like to see how Ronda Rousey does over the next calendar year to see if Ronda Rousey is worthy of closing a WrestleMania.
Charlotte's good. Like I had my things about Charlotte. I said, she's not that great.
I don't like the way she cuts promos. I don't. She has like a way of cutting promos that.
But her main roster move has been really good. Like she's been excellent.
Yeah,
this whole time her matches are great. Her matches are good. They are good,
she puts on decent. I won't say great.
But she puts on good matches, and she made Asuka look good.
Yeah, I thought that match looked great. I thought the ending was great. I thought it was a shocking ending. And Louisiana now, the Superdome is the place where streaks go to die, apparently, because the Undertaker streak ended in that building, and then Asuka's 2-year streak ended in that building as well. So the Superdome is where streaks go to die. But I loved it. I thought it was a great move. And I liked it. I'm curious to see now, like you said, what they do with Asuka, how they try to reestablish her, because that's going to be tough to come back. When you have that kind of streak and then you lose, it's hard to come back from that. If you lose, if you have the title, it's one thing.
But there's a cash-in on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Carmella cashed in. Carmella's now the champion.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Charlotte gets her rematch clause, so you're gonna get a rematch there. But what if Asuka slides into that?
Well,
so Asuka could automatically go back into the title picture.
I feel like Charlotte's gonna find her way to Raw very shortly. And I think Charlotte has to be on Raw if you're gonna set up the Ronda Rousey match. SmackDown. Yeah. So we know we got the superstar shakeup coming. So I feel that Charlotte goes to Raw and eventually captures the Raw Women's title before WrestleMania next year.
I just thought of something. If Bliss goes to SmackDown, because we were talking before this, and you said something about her possibly getting a face turn. He's like, I see face turn, and I said,
I don't like it. I think you're right when you say that Bliss is the best heel in the company, but I feel that at this point, this is kind of like the point where, after a big loss, they start thinking, well, she's over. People are cheering her. It's probably time for a face turn to sell some merch. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's a bad move because I think Bliss is, like you said, one of the greatest heels that we've seen in the company.
But they're moving her to SmackDown. I mean, that's she's going to SmackDown because what else is she going to do on Raw? And what else is Charlotte going to do on SmackDown? Those two are going to
have to switch almost. Yeah. And Charlotte, I think a Charlotte heel turn is in line. And her, feuding with Nia Jax might be a nice little matchup there between the two of them.
Charlotte as a heel is good.
Charlotte as a heel is where she's got to be. I think I don't like Charlotte as a face. I think it's ridiculous when her
promos. Her promos are bad. Are
terrible when she's a face. So I guess let's move into that match, to the Ronda Rousey Triple H match with Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Stephanie. I was very afraid going into this match that Ronda Rousey, oh man, she did not show me anything leading up into this match. That her promos were cringeworthy. Her work in the ring, when she's in there with Triple H and Stephanie, it was cringeworthy. So I was really skeptical on how this match was going to be played out. And let me tell you, Maverick, I could not have been more wrong. That match was maybe the best match of the night.
I agree.
It was well played. They were able to hide Ronda's weaknesses because she's still training. I get that, that this is a work in progress. But it is WrestleMania, and you do expect a certain level of competition at WrestleMania in one of the higher profile matches. And I thought they did a really good job of going back and forth. Stephanie may have looked a little too strong for my liking because to me, Stephanie's not a wrestler either. So she's had like a handful of matches in her entire life, so this idea that Stephanie is some wrestler that knows the ring better than Ronda never sat well with me. If you had somebody else in that position, I would completely buy that. But Stephanie as a wrestler, they never sold that well to me. But Ronda, I thought her entrance was great. I liked the kilt. I liked the jacket. I liked her coming out. She looked good when she hit the ring. She did what she could do well, and she performed it well. And there weren't any real major botches. And I thought the match was laid out well. It was a back and forth. It showed off all the guys and all the girls. I liked Ronda fighting Triple H. I thought that was a nice little touch, a little intergender stuff. I thought that was great.
I do want to apologize because I did give this. I did say that it was going to be old people fighting somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. I just thought it was going to be a train wreck, to be honest. It looked like it was going to be a train wreck. It was. Yeah. You look at it. I mean, Kurt Angle can't even turn his head. Anybody notice that? Yeah. The dude can't even turn his head. So it's like you're going to watch all these old people fighting this woman who lost in UFC. I mean, she had that bad loss. Yes. So you're like, and she doesn't look good. Like, she does not look on Raw. She didn't look good.
And let me add this in. The Shayna Baszler match from the night before on TakeOver also did not have me having high hopes because Shayna Baszler looked beyond awful on TakeOver. That was a travesty. that even occurred at an NXT Takeover matchup.
I don't like her at all.
That was terrible. That was and the fans sat on their hands that entire match. And I thought Ronda was going to get the same treatment the next night.
No, she got a
huge pop. Yeah. The crowd was into it.
But she was so good though.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, let's be real. Let's be honest. She was a little rocky. It was a little rocky start, but she, it's WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
She's in front of all those people, and she's like freaking out. But while she got into it, as she was able, when she got in the ring with Triple H, it was on. Like she got her UFC style back up in there, and she was comfortable again. Yeah. And she started laying those jabs on him, and I'm like, this is great. And I mean, and all the other, like, even Kurt Angle played a pretty good part. Like Kurt Angle did well.
It. Yeah.
Triple H did fantastic, selling all the Ronda being so strong, and honestly, Stephanie played very well of being the heel, trying to stop Rousey with her own kind of head games. So everybody worked their way into the story that made it look, made Rousey's debut amazing, and it did make one for a good WrestleMania moment.
I loved it. I thought it was really well done, and like I said, it was probably the match of the night for me. With overall fun and wrestling ability as well. That had a big part to do with it. Mm-hmm. Looking at the rest of the card, there's a lot of stuff that irritated me. The pre-show with Naomi winning the women's battle royale didn't sit well with me. I thought Bayley should have won, and her coming in at the end, I didn't understand why Naomi.
It's not. No, Naomi was not strong enough to be a part of it. No.
And the way she won, where she sat outside for, I don't know. It seemed like a bunch of nonsense to me.
But Matt Hardy
Hardy winning. Now, granted, I will say I thought that it was a little confusing at the end with Bray and him, but I feel that Raw has cleared all that up. Mm-hmm. And I really like the Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt team. Not a surprise. I think a lot of people saw that one coming. Not a surprise, but I thought that was one of the highlights of Raw, at least.
It's weird it's weird seeing those, like the way those matches played out, because you look in there and like in the women's Rumble, or not the women's Battle Royal, you saw like nobodies. You're like, who's that? Yeah. I mean, the lady with the long hair, I don't even know who that is. Yeah. And you're like, who are these people? And then over there at the men's side, you got a bunch of jobbers. So I mean, of course, Matt Hardy was going. I mean, the women's side, you were kind of thinking maybe Sasha, maybe Bayley, but of course their little beef together would kind of knock that out. But other than that, who was going to win that?
I'll also say I have a question for you, and I don't want to give my opinion on it just yet. What were your feelings on the return of Daniel Bryan? Because that was a big thing, and it was a big surprise when they announced it on SmackDown. We knew what was going to happen on the show. Did you feel like that? I don't know. How did you feel about it? I'll listen to what you have to say first.
It's kind of forgettable. It kind of was buried with all the other stuff, obviously, because we were mentioning all the other things, and we kind of skipped over that. We even skipped over before we went on. I mean, we kind of just was like, I don't know if we want to talk about that one. I didn't even mention that one. You didn't mention that one. Honestly, for me, I would rather have saw Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens fight each other. I'd rather see them fight all the time. I would want to see them on the big stage trying to go at each other. I don't really like the whole, what happened in that match? He got knocked out.
That's the problem is everything that happened was so forgettable. Yeah. And it's kind of like, this is now the second Kevin Owens match 2 years in a row that had a big build and kind of did not deliver. That last year you had Kevin Owens against Jericho. That was the hottest storyline of the entire year, and the match fell flat. This year, the positioning on the card was really bad. Towards the end of the card, in between, some of those big matches, the positioning on the card couldn't have been worse. Yeah, it's at the top of the card, but you got, big stuff surrounding you. And I just felt like that fell flat too. Even Daniel Bryan, I felt his whole return was I don't know. I want to see these guys do well. It's good to see him back. I want to see Daniel Bryan do well. I really want to see Kevin Owens do well. I really want to see Sami Zayn do well. But I just feel like they're crazy
because right. It's crazy because like the after effects that happened were more memorable than because I can remember what happened on Raw where you had Sami and Kevin begging for their jobs, and then they got to get the match that what I wanted to see at Mania. And that was a really good match.
Yeah.
It ended in a draw. I mean, the story was perfect for that one.
Like, are we going to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in NXT next? Like, I think that'd be hysterical.
That would be great. No, we're going to see him in TNA.
Well,
that was great. That whole Kurt Angle TNA joke drop. Everybody was freaking out about that. Like, oh my God, did he just say TNA? And Vince McMahon is in the back going, holy crap.
That was hysterical, though. That was worse.
But on SmackDown, you got Daniel Bryan versus AJ.
Yeah.
So that was also really well. But of course, Shinsuke knocked it. He got into it to try to bring more of his heel persona. So you get kind of and it's funny how nobody really like. I don't even remember them mentioning that match on WrestleMania. Like it was so forgettable. Even the people at WWE were like, this was not really that great. This wasn't the outcome we wanted from Bryan and I mean I don't even remember what Shane did in that match. Do you remember what Shane did?
Well, Shane does the same stuff, every match, like
coast to coast. I mean, he didn't do it. I didn't see any like huge thing that he usually does.
Yeah. And maybe that's why is that there wasn't any one spot that was like an oh my God spot. There wasn't that big thing that happened. And it's a shame because I really want to see those guys do well, and I don't want them to get the stigma of not being able to put on good WrestleMania matches because at some level you do need to deliver at the biggest stage of them all. You need to deliver at WrestleMania. And if you can't deliver...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, if you can't deliver, they're not going to give you that opportunity very much longer. That's the key.
And speaking of, the show of shows, let's talk about the main event, shall we? What did you think about that main event? I mean, we talked about it on the pre-WrestleMania show. We said we hope this is not the main event. We were talking so much. We're like we were to have Shinsuke. Thank goodness they didn't because that would have been another thing. But Ronda Rousey, that would actually been a really good main event. But then they give us the main event we did not want. And what do you think? What do you think?
It was a mess. It was what I expected it was going to be. Like, so I'm not surprised by the match. I am slightly surprised by the outcome. I actually don't like the outcome because I thought we were done with Brock Lesnar. I think a lot of people are at the end of the Brock Lesnar, bandwagon train here. And I feel like Brock Lesnar kind of needs to move on. And I felt that at least if Roman had the belt, that means that the belt's going to be on Monday Night Raw every week. That means that the belt is going to be defended at pay-per-views. But now we're back stuck with Brock Lesnar with the title. And maybe that changes at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Maybe that changes in the steel cage and Roman finally wins it. But my thought is if you were going to win it there, why wouldn't you just win it at WrestleMania? Like, I don't understand it. So we're now back. We're back in this Brock Lesnar thing, and it sounds like Brock Lesnar is going to fight in the UFC again. And I think maybe one of the most interesting questions is will we see the Universal title defended within the Octagon?
Ooh.
Because every time Brock Lesnar has fought, he has always dropped the belt before he's done the UFC fight. Right. But it sounds to me like he might just hold this belt, and it might be cool. My buddy Jason was trying to tell me all the different scenarios. He's a UFC guy. I am not. I haven't watched the UFC since Ken Shamrock, so I will say that out front. That there's two heavyweight guys, and one of the two heavyweight guys is a huge wrestling fan, and he has the shot at the belt at the next one, and it sounds like whoever wins that fight is going to fight Brock Lesnar. So you could see a wrestling guy be UFC champion and then fight Brock Lesnar, and then it might be it might make everyone more money if the Universal title is being defended in the Octagon as well. And then if that guy wins, if Lesnar wins, then no issue. If that guy wins, then he can come over the WWE. I don't know. Just a thought out there. It's more interesting than talking about what that match was, though.
Brock, he resigned though. He resigned. He resigned on the WWE.
They said short-term contract, so I don't know what that means. So that's the question.
The crowd was dead. The crowd was completely dead. No, and even when they split him open, and I heard,
which was disgusting. I felt was
Vince was pissed.
Well, I felt that bust open job was up there with Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 against Bret Hart. That was probably the worst blood I've ever seen in a match. This, at least, the match ended fairly soon after the Crimson Mask was put on Roman Reigns.
But I think they were trying to get that. They're trying to get the crowd into it. I honestly think, and that's what they did that for, is trying to get the crowd into the whole match, because they were dead completely. I mean, I don't know how, I don't even know what to say about it. Like it was just one of those moments where I'm watching it. And I didn't even laugh, because the whole time I was entertained the whole entire event, and then I'm watching this and I'm just dead. Like, what is going on? Why do they keep dragging this out? And then when I even kind of just watched how everything happened. I was texting with you saying how disgusting that was.
Yeah.
And then you see Brock Lesnar win, and you're just like, well, that's a WrestleMania.
Yep. So here we go, right?
And what we didn't talk about Finn Balor.
I don't even want. I don't understand. Finn Balor obviously doesn't want to win, because if he wanted to win, he'd come out as the Demon. So apparently, Finn Balor does not want to win matches.
No, he's gonna win. He'll win something soon.
I don't think so, because he's not the Demon. He refuses to come out as the Demon. I don't.
No, it's not him that refuses. It's the WWE that keeps taking that away from him. They're like, no, it's not because that's an automatic win. When you see him come out as the Demon, it's an automatic win. It is.
Like I said, if she should want to win, right?
Right. Well, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense now, because in retrospect, Seth Rollins, because everything makes sense. Because what happens now, Brock Lesnar's not on the show. Seth Rollins is the IC champ. He's your main eventer. He's gonna, fight big matches with the IC title, and because Brock Lesnar's not going to be there, so it all makes sense. But I would have preferred to see Finn Balor as the Demon and walk out with the IC title. I don't know. I want to see some new blood come up here now. I think they're
gonna put Finn on 205 Live sooner or later.
Oh, good Lord, no.
You might
as well pack it up then. At that point, you might as well go back.
I mean, that's what WWE's trying so hard to get 205 over.
It's not.
It's not. I mean, bring in Drake Maverick in. I mean, the guy's good, I guess, but
your boy Drake Maverick.
Drake,
your boy.
He has no relation. No relation.
So Maverick, where would you rank this WrestleMania? Like I don't rank WrestleManias in order. I usually do good WrestleManias, average WrestleManias, bad WrestleManias. Where do you put it?
Well, our friend Brian Bass, he put it top 3. Which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I said that because I said it would be more closer to the bottom 3 than the top, because I'm thinking there's a lot of WrestleManias that were better, obviously.
Yeah.
There are some. I mean, you could pick one. You could throw a dart at a dartboard.
You really could.
You could.
A lot of I just look back and some of those cards were stacked, with Hogan and then in the mid 90s. I'm partial to WrestleMania 8. I loved the Macho Man Ric Flair match. That by itself was better than most of what I saw, a few nights ago.
Anything with Stone Cold and The Rock. Yeah. I mean, those were great matches. So you look at anything from this card, and I mean, it was entertaining.
I think even last year's WrestleMania was better. I liked last year's because the Goldberg Brock Lesnar match was at least fun, because you're like, oh, is Goldberg going to pull out another win here? Right. Like, it was at least fun to watch. The John Cena, Nikki Bella, Miz and Maurice match was good. You had a lot of good stuff last year. I personally put this one in the middle. I say it's an average WrestleMania at best. I don't think there's not a
Closer to
whole
the
lot
bottom.
memorable stuff. I don't know if I'd put it at the bottom.
Well, not bottom, but it's
Yeah.
it's definitely closer to. I would say it's closer to the bottom than the middle.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me because I'm trying to think of really bad WrestleManias, and
that's
there's a
what I was
few.
thinking, and that's what I was thinking. Like, what's really bad? And I'm sure there's a lot that there's a. I mean, what are we at? We're at 34, so there's. Yeah, I could probably put that in the middle, like in the
Yeah.
middle-ish, at least maybe a little below the middle.
At least calling it average, and maybe if you don't rank stuff, then it becomes easier. I say it's an average show. It wasn't anything spectacular. There's a few good things on it, and
It was good
think,
moments. There was good moments. Matches were the IC title match was probably the best if you're looking at a technical match.
Yeah.
Storyline wise, it was pretty solid for a storyline wise for the rest of the card. Like the Ronda Rousey was pretty fun. The whole Braun Strowman thing, the John Cena Undertaker, those were great moments. The story was great. The moments were great. But I mean, at a technical, technical wrestling and stuff like that, it's kind of an average show.
Yeah. So,
it was.
With that, Ride Warriors, I think we're gonna end it here tonight for our WrestleMania React show. Going forward from here, we'd like to hear what you want to hear. See what topics. There's quite the interest, though, Maverick. That there's some outside factions that want to join in and maybe even invade this program. Some outside factions outside of COASTER-net. This has become the talk of the both the wrestling and roller coaster world, that everyone wants to be a part of Ride Warrior Wrestling. So you might have some special guests.
Are you going to name drop some special guests?
No. Rob, a good run-in, you don't know about it before it happens. So
I challenge anybody, anybody that wants to come here and sit here with the greatest, the best.
Come on the show. We'll see what your opinion's like. And I've heard that this person may not be a huge Alexa Bliss fan. So this person might be getting. Yeah, this guy might be getting a little bit of my mind, at the very first show. So we'll see what happens, up in the coming shows here. We're going to talk a lot about, the history of wrestling and get into some old school stuff as well, because I love mid-90s wrestling. Oh, I love mid-90s.
Can we talk about New Japan wrestling?
No, it's boring. It's boring. We can't talk about New Japan wrestling. We'll start your own show about New Japan and nobody will watch. So... Anyway, that wraps us up, Maverick. I'm, of course, the face that runs the place, the HSBR, signing off here. And as always, ride on, Ride Warriors.
Too sweet.
Ooh.